Okay, welcome traders and futures traders here. We're going to show you how to trade the futures and be profitable every day here. Trading the futures using our Trading 123 pivot file. Our pivot formula file is the most accurate, precise trading tool you can use in your daily trading to trade the futures, from the E-minis to the Dow futures to the NQ futures. But we're going to show you some charts here on the E-mini, as most people trade the E-mini. Pretty much the way our pivot software works. After years of testing and back testing, we've come up with a formula here that has been tested to work and be highly accurate in trading the pivots, which are support and resistance levels for stocks, futures, or Forex throughout the day. As you see here, the pivots are basically composed by a formula that takes in the high and low and close of the previous days and average prices over a 2 to 3 day period, mid-range prices, and computes it into a formula and puts it on in the chart for you first thing in the morning at 8 a.m. So basically you have the daily pivot, which institutional and hedge funds use to go long above and short below it. And then you have 5 levels of resistance, R1 through R5, with R3 being the daily breakout area and R5 the potential high of the day. And on the downside you have S1 through S5, with S3 being the short area to short and the S5 being the potential low of the day. So here's the E-mini here, basically on November 21st, pretty much going sideways here, and it breaks out right here above the daily pivot. So a long would have been entered here right at 770 with a target of 786. You could have entered anywhere a point above or below this daily pivot. As you see, the volume came in and it was pretty much flat down here. So the volume comes in. If you only looking for 2 to 3 points to make a day, this would be the area to get in here. As the volume increases, it gets above the daily pivot and goes right to the next level of the R4. For anywhere, if you would have played this, you could have got anywhere from 2 to 10 point to maybe 12 point gain based on your trading experience and trading the pivots. As it trended up right to the R4, and stocks, futures, and Forex pretty much are attracted to the pivots pretty much like glue. As long as the volume's there, they'll go to the next level. As you see here, going into the end of the day, the market closed and didn't have enough time to get to the R5 level. But it broke out above here, 790. It went to 799, which was like a 9-point run. So basically, this is pretty much all choppy trading here in intraday. And then the big breakout happened going into the last 2 hours, where the futures ran from 770 all the way to 790 for a 20-point gain. And here's another day where the market kind of gapped up here and the futures were pretty much going sideways. It bounced off the R3 breakout level here of 808, moved up through the R4, consolidated, came back down to this R4 level, and then trended all the way up to the R5 just before the close. So knowing where the futures are going to go it gives you a greater advantage than the majority of the other futures traders out there. Now here's a short play on the futures here back on December 1st. As you can see, the futures were breaking down here. The S3 is the short area. You short below the S3. It's below the daily pivot, so it's weak here. So a short entry would have been anywhere below 865 here, this blue line. And then the S5 potential low of the day was 852, which it pretty much went right into that area and consolidated. So that would have been a 13-point gain. If you would have caught 5 or 6 points of that, you would have did good. If you got to get in right here when it breaks the S3 level, that's the key entry point, and then you ride it down to the next pivot, which was the S5. Now what makes our software more advanced here is we have monthly and weekly pivots. So when you get beyond the monthly or the daily S5 number, you got to find out where the next support is. So you look at the monthly pivot, and on the monthly pivot, the futures, as you know, going into the last hour have been pretty much selling off hard or moving up hard. So it pretty much holds this level all afternoon. Now, if you didn't have the pivots, you would say you wouldn't know that that was a major support area. Well, it loses 841 here. The monthly pivot would have shorted 840. And the next level down is 814. It shorted 840, covered at 822 for an 18-point gain, and then reshorted 820 and wrote it down all the way here to the potential low of the day, the monthly S3 level of 814 for another 6 points. So you see, trading the pivots, you just want to let them, if they're moving up, you ride it up to the next level. If they're moving down, you ride it down to the next level. And we wrote it all the way down here to the close for nice gains. Now here is an intraday play on December 2nd here, where the pivots had come down, sold off, found support at the R1, tried to break through the daily pivot, couldn't do it. Then going into the last hour, up we go, volume increases. Get long right here at the daily pivot, 833. Our target's 844. Potential profits on the trade are anywhere from 5 to 11 points, which we got about 7. So precise entries, no stops. You ride it to the next pivot and take your profits, move on to the next trade. And as I said, these pivots are very powerful, price action. Market makers all know the pivot areas, and they're trading with the advantage that you don't have right now. So if you were to get our trading 123 pivot file and use it with eSignal, you will see that you will have more profitable trades. You'll be in more control of your trades, and you will increase your profits here, as I said. And here's another trade on December 11th, where the futures pretty much moved up during the day, and then in the afternoon again, like I said, they've been selling off. And here we had a sell-off from 890 all the way down to 868. Two areas you could have shorted here, right below the daily pivot at 896. Write it down to the S1. It lost the S1, fell down from 890 down to 895. That's a 5-point gain. Or you could have shorted if you just got back the last hour. Anywhere below the S3, which is weakness, 896 down to 880. And then the final low of the day was 870. So a short here would have netted you 5 to 6 points. If you shorted it here at 880 all the way down and rode it to the potential low of the day, you could have got anywhere from 8 to 10 points, or 12 if you hung in right for the low. But 5 or 7 points, pretty much a good trade in the ES. So that's how you trade the futures using our pivot formula. As you see how profitable it can be. Trading without it is like trading blind. Basically, the pivots tell you the potential highs and lows for the day and give you advantage over other traders. And it'll put you in fair advantage with the floor traders that pretty much, these are floor traders pivots that all the institutions use daily to profit in the market. So if you'd like to see some more info, visit the link at the end of this video if you want to increase your profits trading futures.